need to think about this, or I'm not sure what we need to do, but at least have some concern about it when you all talk about this.
Thank you, Tim. Anyone else? Council, questions for Brian?
First off, even if we made the changes that you're recommending, that doesn't prohibit, as Steve DeVore said, postal trucks or UPS trucks from delivering to businesses or residents, right?
The trucks could still access local businesses.
Right. So, and as far as trash trucks, I mean, they have a valid reason for being where they are in any residential neighborhood, so really that's not a concern either. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, trash trucks are hired by the local residents to pick up the trash, so they can be, we have no restrictions other than if there was a weight restriction on a particular road.
So those points really shouldn't apply here.
Well, can we clarify? So for the UPS truck specifically, if I understand what Larry's saying about local deliveries, but what if the UPS truck stops at Todd's Diner and he goes in there for lunch? I mean, is that, those are the types of things that I think Steve was referencing. So what is the...
I mean, if a vehicle is coming through town and is coming, let's say 175th, and wants to go to Baldwin, and they want to get on 56 Highway, but they want to stop at Austin's or Tumbleweed for lunch, that's not a delivery or pickup. I mean, their business is through. They're stopping to get gas or whatever, but that would, in my opinion, would not be permitted.
Wait a second. Now, 56 Highway would be a truck route. 56 Highway will always be a truck route.
Well, but that was a bad example. I should have said Austin off of 56.
Right.
Well, that's 170. That's the truck route that we already have in place, right? So that's not a good example. I guess what establishment?
Hold on. If we eliminate all truck routes just to 56, then Austin is not on a truck route. So that's my question. If they were going to visit a business off of the truck route that is not, and if they're not making a delivery, they're going for lunch, they're doing whatever, and I think, Chief, you and I talked about this, I mean, legally, they can't do that. Now, whether we would cite them or not would be a different story, but legally, they can't do it.
Right.
Correct.
Do you see a lot of semis going to Austin's
Yeah, but
at
we're
lunch?
not talking, I mean, no, I don't see a lot of
I don't see any.
Austin's, but I do
I don't think they sit in the parking lot.
UPS driver, I mean.
No, I mean, is a UPS driver, though, I mean, have the same concern and weight here as a semi? I mean, isn't that what we're really trying to do? Is, I mean, a UPS driver has a reason for being in the city. What I've always intended to do with this ordinance is to keep traffic that's transiting, you know, as a thoroughfare using Gardner's roads in all directions, except for those that we can't keep them from using, which is US 56 Highway. I mean, so...
But I think, Larry, that's the point that people were trying to make, in that I understand your goal, but the unintended consequences are broader than that. I mean, you can't discriminate and say, we just want 18-wheelers that meet this criteria to not be able to do these things. Once you make this change, you're making it for any commercial vehicle that meets the criteria. Those are the consequences that maybe haven't been, at least from my perspective at the time, entirely thought out. So.
Steve, did you have something
Yeah,
you wanted to add?
I've got a couple of things. First of all, I don't know about the rest of the council, but Old 56 Highway, 175th Street and Homestead, but Moonlight, to me, are commercial. Those are commercial thoroughfares. I mean, I don't see any problem. I mean, US 56, old US 56, you have to have that as a truck route because it's got to service the Midwest Commerce Center. I don't think that was ever intended to be taken off the list, and neither was 175th Street east of town, because that's going through a commercial/farmland area, and neither was Moonlight Road. Moonlight Road is built for truck traffic at a tremendous expense, I might add, and it's meant to service those establishments in that part of town. My concern, and it always has been, it's the primary concern that I've got here, is Gardner Road being used. It's a residential area. It's primarily residential. You've got parks that sit right across from houses and have unmonitored, no signalization on a crosswalk that goes down that goes across that 4-lane thoroughfare. And I have seen trucks, container trucks, traverse that thoroughfare. Some of them, I would count, would be going faster than 35 miles an hour, which is the speed limit through that area. And I see that there is a serious concern about that type of commercial traffic potentially creating a safety issue in that part of town. That's always been my concern. The other ones are all commercial. I mean, they're primarily commercial thoroughfares. But north of 188th Street, where it's almost all residences, with the exception of Casey's and the clinic and a couple of other locations, it's almost all residential. It's almost all houses, and that to me constitutes a safety issue, especially with the increased amount of truck traffic that we're seeing traversing that thoroughfare.
I'd like to just jump in for just a second, and I think that when we're talking about safety issues, I think that we're going to create a safety issue with the turn from 56 Highway onto South Gardner Road, if at this intersection right out here, which is already probably the most dangerous intersection that we have in town, and if any traffic that's going to deliver to homes or businesses has to come through this intersection, aren't we creating a safety issue there that's not 4 lanes wide with sidewalks on each side of the street?
Well, I think that 183rd and Gardner Road is very quickly becoming the most dangerous intersection in Gardner. And we've already seen some very bad accidents there, and there's no signalization there for now. I know that's being rectified.
Yeah.
But it's still, at this point, an extremely dangerous intersection.
Yeah, and that's not a CIP item,
That's true.
that is a budgeted item for 2014.
That is correct.
Tori, Heath, anybody over here? Please.
I don't really have a question. However, I feel like at the work session I was for just Highway 56, but in light of the new information, the public comments, plus I received some emails, I would be for the truck routes A, B, C, D, and E in that section 1015.
And, you know, it really mimics kind of what my thoughts were at the work session itself. From a safety perspective, I think that if they're speeding, then they're speeding. That's an enforcement issue. If they're overweight, that's an enforcement issue. You talk about the safety issues because of the lack of signalization, that's going to be resolved. And the speeds of trucks along that thoroughfare with traffic lights will be greatly reduced because of the ramp up and the ramp down. All those things are going to be addressed by that. But more importantly, Rob came tonight, these businesses that were built to service those people that do come through Gardner on a daily basis that don't live and work here, that's a main cog in what our commercial development's going to be, and more businesses will come this way. So obviously, I actually commend staff for going against the grain, what the council left as a consensus, realizing that wasn't the right solution, and bringing back to us something they thought was the best once everyone had had a chance to review. And I think this takes away some of that excitement I talked about, because the unforeseen circumstances, a simple chase of the headlines to say no truck traffic, that didn't fix a lot of things, because it wouldn't have diverted traffic, because we still have a truck route that goes straight to town. Now all those people that are geared to go through Gardner are only going to do that on Main Street, and now you're going to have 5 trucks lined up at the Main Street intersection, and you can't find a place to park. So that impacts even those businesses greater. So I'm glad to see these changes. This is what I would have pushed for tonight anyway, so I'm thankful for that, Brian.
I'd like to know, first of all, what happened between the time that we directed staff to create a new ordinance that said Main Street was the only truck route, until the time that we have an entirely different in front of us that you have advocated for us to pass. What has happened there? And I guess secondly, what new information are you giving us that you didn't give us last time? Well,
I mean, I'll speak on behalf of Brian, because I actually sent him the email with my thoughts before this happened, so.
I think Brian
Okay,
can
okay,
answer
Brian.
that question, because I don't know what happened. I mean, we with the unanimous decision, decided that this was the right thing to do.
It was